Good morning, dear friends. In this quiet breath of morning, let us lift our hearts to God in prayer. As it is written, His mercies are new every morning. With this truth in mind, let us pray together in faith, believing that each day is a gift, a chance to begin again, to be forgiven, to be loved, and to live renewed in His grace. Before anything else today, before the world rushes in and your mind begins to spin with to-do lists and notifications and the weight of responsibility, I invite you to pause right here, in this sacred moment of stillness, and breathe slowly and deeply, not just with your lungs but with your soul, because this is not just another morning. This is a gift, a quiet miracle placed in your hands by the one who never stopped loving you through the night, the one who watched over you as you slept, the one whose mercy is not tired of you, not disappointed in you, not keeping score of yesterday's mess, but is here again, fresh like the morning dew, faithful like the rising sun. And I want you to know this, really know it, that waking up is not just a biological act but a spiritual invitation. An open door, a whisper from heaven that says, "Come back to me, let's begin again." And this is your chance to say yes, to step into the warmth of grace, to walk with hope and not with shame. Because no matter what happened yesterday, no matter how heavy your heart may feel right now, this morning belongs to grace, not to guilt. And I want you to hear this not as a cliche, but as a living truth. His mercies are new every morning. Not recycled, not leftover, but new, made for this exact moment, for this exact you. And that means you can stop punishing yourself. You can stop carrying what He already forgave. You can stop thinking you have to fix everything before coming to Him, because He already came to you, right here, in the first breath of dawn, in the light that touches your face, in the silence that wraps around your room. And so you begin by simply being, not doing, not achieving, just being in His presence, with open hands and a heart that says, "Lord, thank you for this breath, for this gift of being alive, for this undeserved yet freely given mercy." And as you say that, I want you to let go of the tension in your shoulders, the worry in your chest, the weight behind your eyes. Let them all fall gently like leaves in autumn, because the God who formed your heart is not asking for perfection. He is asking for presence, and you are here. That's enough. So stay a little longer in this moment, in this soft beginning, and remind yourself that you are not waking up to prove anything. You are not starting this day to meet impossible standards. You are waking up to grace, to love that was waiting for you before your eyes even opened, to a Father who says, "You are my beloved, and I delight in you." And I know some mornings you don't feel that. I know there are days when you wake up with regret or fear or sadness clinging to your soul like a fog. But even then, especially then, this truth does not change. His compassion does not fail. His faithfulness is not dependent on your mood. His kindness is not erased by your struggle. And so I ask you now, right where you are, to surrender, not dramatically, not desperately, but quietly, to let this moment be your prayer. And if you don't have words, that's okay. Sometimes the silence speaks best. Sometimes all you need is the whisper in your spirit that says, "Jesus, I'm here, and I need you." And He hears it. He honors it, and He draws near, not because you earned it, but because He promised to. And He is not a God who forgets His promises. So take this morning, take this holy beginning, and let it be sacred, not rushed, not filled with noise, but drenched in presence. And if you need a first word to say, let it be, thank you. Thank you for this bed, this breath, this beating heart. Thank you for keeping me through the night. Thank you that I don't have to face this day alone. And as you say thank you, something begins to shift, not outside, but inside, a softening of spirit, a lightness in the soul. Because gratitude clears the space where grace can dwell. And now that your heart is beginning to awaken, I invite you to open your hands again, physically if you can, and imagine yourself placing this entire day into God's hands, not just the good parts, but all of it, the stress, the plans, the conversations, the fatigue, the uncertainty, the joy and the sorrow and the small in-betweens. Place it all there and say with me, God, I give you this day, not because I have it all figured out, but because I trust you more than I trust myself. And that is how you begin a morning in grace, not with striving, but with surrender, not with fear, but with faith, not with rushing, but with resting in the truth that the one who gave you breath will also give you strength. The one who lit the sky with sunlight will light your path. The one who calls you by name will walk beside you. And if that is all you remember today, let it be enough, because it is enough. He is enough. And you, just as you are in this very moment, are loved beyond measure. And now, as the light of this new day begins to gently unfold around you, I want you to carry this truth like a compass in your soul. You were not awakened by accident. You were awakened by mercy. And wherever this day may lead, whatever moments may rise or fall, you are never alone in them. Because the same God who met you in this quiet morning will meet you again in the noise of midday, in the stillness of afternoon, in the shadows of evening, and He will be the same, steady, faithful, kind, unshaken by your weakness, unmoved by your fears, always reaching, always redeeming, always pouring grace upon grace. And so as you rise from this time of prayer, don't rush out as if this moment has ended, but walk forward knowing it goes with you, that this stillness is now inside of you, that His presence is not something you leave behind but something you carry within. And when you feel overwhelmed, when the weight returns, when the noise grows louder, pause again and return, not to a place, but to this posture, to this holy awareness that you belong to God, that you are held, chosen, and seen. And with every breath you take, His mercy walks beside you, new again, faithful again, enough again. This morning is not just a continuation of what came before, it is a fresh start. A new beginning, a clean page held out to you by a God who does not hold your past against you, who is not interested in shaming you for what you couldn't fix, who is not counting the ways you've failed but counting the ways He still loves you. And I know there may be things from yesterday or even years ago that linger like shadows in your soul. Thoughts that whisper, "You're not enough," or "You always mess it up." But those voices do not come from God, because His voice does not accuse. It invites, it restores, it says, "Come to me, you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And right now, right here in this morning light, I want to walk you through the simple act of letting go. not by pretending that your pain or your regret didn't happen, but by acknowledging it and still choosing grace over guilt, healing over hiding, mercy over memory. So take a breath and bring to mind what's weighing on you. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe it's a harsh word you said. Maybe it's something you forgot to do or something you did that you wish you could undo. Whatever it is, bring it into the light now, not to be condemned, but to be released, because when you name it in God's presence, it no longer has power over you. And I want you to whisper this with me in your heart. Lord, I bring this to you, not to hide, but to be healed. And in that surrender, there is peace, not punishment. There is comfort, not condemnation, because God is not the voice of shame. He is the whisper of grace. And He is not looking at you with disappointment, but with love that sees through your mess and still calls you beloved. So let's go a step deeper. Can you picture the things you're carrying as if they are stones in your hands? Heavy and cold and familiar. And now imagine holding them out to God, your hands trembling but willing, and hear Him say, "You don't have to carry that anymore." And as you release them, one by one, feel the lightness returning to your spirit, not because you fixed everything, but because you trusted Him with it. And now that your hands are free, they can receive again. They can receive peace instead of pressure, freedom instead of fear, love instead of lingering regret. Because this is the heart of morning grace. Not just to wake up, but to begin again. And beginning again doesn't mean forgetting. It means forgiving. And sometimes that forgiveness is for yourself. So I invite you now to say this gently, as a prayer. Lord, I forgive myself for being human. I forgive myself for not being perfect. I forgive myself for the things I cannot change. And if that makes you cry, let it, because tears can be holy too. Tears are the soul's way of washing off the dust of disappointment. And God sees every tear, not as weakness but as worship, because it means your heart is soft, and a soft heart is where His mercy loves to dwell. So today, choose softness, not hardness. Choose to begin not with walls up, but with your heart open again, even if you've been hurt, even if it feels scary, because this new morning is not asking you to be fearless. It's asking you to be faithful, to trust that God is big enough to hold your past and your future, and still stay with you here in the present. So start slowly if you need to, but start. And start with this. Lord, I don't have to live in yesterday. Because you don't. Yesterday ended last night, and mercy rose this morning. And if God says His compassion is new, who are you to argue with that? Who are you to disqualify yourself from a grace that was made for today? For this moment, for this version of you, the one who is still learning, still healing, still reaching for light, and that reaching is enough. That reaching is faith, and faith, even as small as a mustard seed, is what moves the heart of God. So don't worry if you don't feel perfect yet. Don't worry if your mind still wanders or your prayers feel awkward. What matters is that you're here. You showed up to grace. And grace never turns away those who come hungry for hope. So receive this hope now. Let it soak into your bones like sunlight. Let it warm the cold places in you that have been waiting to be seen. And as you do, remember this isn't about forgetting your story. It's about letting God be the author again. Letting Him rewrite the chapters that shame tried to steal. letting Him lead you into a plot where redemption is real and mercy is the ink that rewrites everything. So as this morning continues, carry this prayer with you, not as a script, but as a song your soul can hum throughout the day. Today, I begin again, not because I am worthy, but because you are willing, not because I deserve a second chance, but because you never stopped giving them, and I choose to live today not in the shadow of yesterday, but in the promise of your new mercy. And now that your heart has remembered how to let go, now that your spirit has tasted even a drop of the freedom that comes with forgiveness, I want you to carry this simple truth with you like a compass as you step into your day. God is not waiting at the end of the day to see how well you perform. He is already here, in this breath, loving you before you do anything, blessing you before you earn it, holding you before you even ask. And as you begin again, you don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to rush to fix what's behind you. You only need to walk forward with open hands, trusting that what you placed in God's hands is no longer yours to carry. And if the weight tries to return later today, remember this moment, return in your heart to this prayer, and say again, Lord, I let go, because you are better at holding than I am, and let that be enough. Because it is, because He is, and you, dear one, are free to begin again. This morning, as you open your eyes and begin to step into another day, I want you to remember that you were never meant to walk alone. That this journey you're on, with all its twists and turns, with all its unexpected valleys and breathtaking peaks, was never designed to be carried by your strength alone, because the one who made you is not distant, not waiting at some far-off destination for you to arrive. He is right here, beside you, within you, around you, ahead of you and behind you, walking with you through every moment that will unfold today. And the most important decision you can make this morning is not what to wear or what to do first, but who you will trust as you take your next step, because there is a quiet strength that comes from knowing you don't have to figure it all out. That even if you cannot see the whole map, the one who holds the map walks beside you and knows exactly where you're going. And so I ask you now, can you lay down the pressure to have all the answers? Can you stop demanding clarity from a day that hasn't yet begun and instead ask for companionship? Ask for God to be the one who guides your thoughts, your conversations, your choices, your pace. And if that feels hard, if control feels safer than surrender, I invite you to pray these words slowly. Lord, I don't know every step of today, but I know you do, and that's enough for me. And when you say that, something inside begins to settle. A deep breath returns. A holy stillness comes over the chaos. Because trust is not about knowing what's next, it's about knowing who is next to you. And that trust does not need to be loud or perfect or confident. It just needs to be real. It just needs to be whispered from your heart with sincerity. So even if you're walking through something confusing or heavy or uncertain, even if you're not sure what's waiting for you in the hours ahead, let this be your anchor. He walks with you, not just in the easy moments but in the uncertain ones. Not just in the places where everything goes right but in the places where things fall apart. And even there, especially there, He does not walk ahead and leave you behind. He slows down to your pace. He carries you when you can't take another step. He gently reminds you that you are not alone. So today, Before you rush into plans or productivity, pause and make this invitation the first priority of your heart. Walk with me, Lord, not just in the quiet of this prayer, but in the noise of everything that follows. Walk with me when I'm strong and when I'm tired, when I'm focused and when I'm scattered, when I feel you clearly and when I don't, because I want to trust you not only with my eternity but with my schedule, my relationships, my reactions, my choices, my words. And the beautiful thing is, He will say yes to that invitation, not because you asked perfectly, but because He delights in walking with you. Because this has always been His heart, not just to rule over you, but to be with you, not just to send instructions from above, but to whisper peace beside you. And as you let Him walk with you, you will begin to notice things differently. You'll pause where you would have rushed. You'll speak with more gentleness. You'll forgive more quickly. You'll listen more deeply. And all of that will not be because you're trying harder, but because you're walking closer. And closeness changes everything, because the more you stay near to Him, the more your heart begins to beat in rhythm with His. And that rhythm is not anxiety. It is peace. It is trust. It is the quiet knowing that even if the day doesn't go as planned, it is not wasted, because nothing is wasted in the hands of God. Not your tears, not your time, not your waiting, not your wondering, and even in the detours, He is weaving something beautiful, something eternal. And you don't have to see the full picture to believe that. You just have to keep walking, one prayer at a time, one step at a time, one moment of trust at a time. So now, as you prepare to step into this day, I want you to carry this prayer not as a ritual but as a rhythm, a steady heartbeat of surrender that walks with you through everything ahead. Lord, I may not know what's coming, but I trust you to be there. I may not feel ready, but I know you are faithful. So walk with me, guide me, and give me the courage to follow. And with those words, let your soul breathe deeply, because this day does not rest on your ability, it rests in His hands. And as long as He walks with you, you will never be lost. And maybe as you listen now, there's a part of you still holding back, a part of you afraid to fully trust, because trust feels risky when you've been let down before, when you've tried and failed, when life hasn't gone the way you hoped. But I want you to know this: God is not asking you to pretend you're not afraid. He's just asking you to give that fear to Him, to let Him carry what you cannot control. And in return, He offers peace, not the kind the world gives, but the kind that calms the storms inside you even when the storms outside still rage. And if today feels uncertain, that's okay, because certainty is not what holds you steady, trust is. And trust grows not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of God. So if your steps feel small or your faith feels weak, remember that it's not the size of your faith that matters. It's the size of the one you place it in. And He is big enough for your doubts, strong enough for your questions, gentle enough for your wounds, and faithful enough for the road ahead. So walk on now, not with the pressure to get everything right, but with the peace of knowing you are not walking alone, because the God who made the path also made your heart, and He walks beside you with every breath you take, whispering, "You don't have to see the whole way, just take the next step with me." This morning, you have a choice, not just about what to wear or what to eat or where to go, but something far deeper, far more sacred. You get to choose how you will show up to this day. Not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, fully alive, and right now, before the noise begins, before the demands pull you in 100 directions. I want to remind you of something simple yet powerful. You can choose light. Not just the light that shines through your window, but the light of God's presence, the light of His love, the light that cannot be dimmed by fear or failure or uncertainty. And choosing that light doesn't mean ignoring your pain or pretending everything is perfect. It means looking at your life honestly, just as it is, and still saying, I choose to believe I am loved. And when you say yes to that kind of love, something begins to shift in the atmosphere of your soul. The shadows lose their grip, the lies lose their power, and suddenly, the weight you've been carrying feels just a little lighter, not because your circumstances changed, but because your posture did, because you're no longer walking through this day trying to earn your worth. You're walking as someone who knows they're already loved, already chosen, already held, and I know that may not always feel true, especially on the days when self-doubt creeps in, when comparison whispers cruel things, when the world tells you you're not enough unless you achieve more. Look better, prove yourself again, but the voice of God doesn't speak like that. His voice is not harsh or hurried or heavy, it is gentle, steady, full of truth, and this morning He says to you, you are my beloved, in you I delight, and I want you to believe that not because you feel worthy, but because He said it and He does not lie. And sometimes choosing light looks like rejecting the thought that you're too broken to be used. Sometimes it looks like speaking kindly to yourself when your inner critic wants to scream. Sometimes it looks like forgiving someone who may never say sorry, or reaching out even when you're scared, or resting when everything inside you wants to keep performing. Because the light of God's love is not just something you receive, it's something you live. And today you get to live it not by being perfect, but by being present, not by getting everything right, but by letting love lead every step. So say yes to that love now, even if it's a quiet yes, even if it trembles, because every yes opens the door for God to move. Every yes makes room for His grace to fill the places where shame once lived. And the more you say yes, the more your life begins to reflect the one who made you in love. For love, and with love, and that is what light really is. It's not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's just steady, like a candle that keeps burning in the dark. Like a quiet strength that says, I will not give up today, because I am loved. So go ahead and say it with your heart now. Lord, I choose light today. I choose to believe I am not forgotten, not invisible, not beyond hope. I choose to let your love define me, not my fears, not my past, not the expectations of others. And if you let that truth guide you through the hours ahead, you will notice how differently you carry yourself, how gently you speak, how bravely you respond, and it won't be because of your own strength. It will be because you're rooted in something unshakable, something eternal, something that began before you were born and will not end when the day is over. The love of a Father who made the sun and still chooses to shine His light on you. And as you carry that light into the moments ahead, I want you to understand that this choice is not a one-time thing. It is a quiet decision you get to make again and again. Not because God's love depends on your faithfulness, but because your peace depends on your willingness to return, to realign, to remember what is already true about you. And maybe there will be moments today when the darkness tries to creep back in. When your thoughts feel heavy, when doubt feels louder than truth. But even then, you are still free to choose. You are still free to pause and say, "No, I will not walk in fear. I will walk in the light of love." And that single sentence can redirect the whole path of your day. Not because of the words themselves, but because of the heart behind them. A heart that is learning to trust that love is stronger than fear. Grace is deeper than shame, and the light of Christ is not just something far off, it is within you. It is around you. It is what makes you rise when you fall and stand when you feel weak and shine even when life feels uncertain. And you don't have to force this light to exist. You only have to stop hiding from it, because the light was never gone, it was only waiting for your yes. And this yes is not about being cheerful or pretending everything is okay. It is about surrendering to a love that sees you clearly and stays. About choosing to believe that you are not too much or not enough. You are exactly the one God wanted to wake up this morning. And He delights in walking this day with you, not because you are perfect, but because you are His. And if you carry nothing else from this moment, carry that truth. You are His, and He is yours. And that alone is enough to change the way you move through every hour ahead. Because when you walk in love, you will speak more gently, forgive more easily, listen more patiently, and show up more fully, not out of obligation, but out of overflow. Because when you are rooted in love, it spills out naturally, and the people around you may not even realize it at first. But something about you will feel different, your peace, your presence, your softness in a world that can be so hard, and it won't be about what you're doing. It will be about who you're walking with, and who you're allowing to define you. And that's the miracle of choosing light. It transforms you from the inside out. Not with pressure, but with peace. Not with perfection, but with purpose. Not with a spotlight, but with a steady glow that whispers, "You are safe, you are seen, you are surrounded by grace." And maybe today that's exactly what someone else needs to feel from you. Maybe your kindness will be the reminder they've been praying for. Maybe your calm presence will be a doorway for them to encounter the love of God through your life. And that is how the kingdom grows. Not always through big gestures, but through small moments of surrendered love. And this is your invitation today, not to strive, but to shine, not to force, but to follow, not to fight for approval, but to live as one who is already deeply loved. Because when you live from that place, you begin to see yourself and others differently. And even the interruptions become opportunities to be grace in motion. And that's what choosing light really is. It's waking up and saying, "Lord, I give you permission to love me and love through me today." And with that prayer, your day becomes holy, your steps become sacred, your heart becomes open, and your soul begins to breathe. This morning, as the world begins to stir and your day unfolds before you, I want to gently remind you of something most people forget far too quickly. You are not defined by your productivity. You are not measured by your performance. And your worth is not determined by how much you accomplish today. Because long before you do anything, long before you speak or act or plan, you are already beloved, already known, already enough. And the deepest truth about you is not what you do but whose you are. And you belong to a God who delights in you, not because you're impressive, but because you are His. And when you start your day from that place of belovedness, everything begins to shift. The pressure lifts, the fear fades, and you begin to move through life not with anxiety, but with assurance, not with self-doubt, but with steady joy, because stillness does not mean doing nothing. It means choosing to be grounded in love before anything else takes your attention. It means reminding yourself that your value is not earned today. It is received. That grace is not a reward. It is a rhythm. And so I invite you now, before the world demands anything of you, to sit in that stillness, to rest your heart in that truth, and let it soak deep into your bones. You are already enough, already chosen, already wrapped in mercy that has no end. And when you live like someone who is loved, you shine, not because you're trying to be light, but because love always lights up what it touches. And today the world doesn't need a busier version of you. It needs a truer version of you. The one who knows where their peace comes from. The one who walks with softness because they've been met with gentleness. The one who forgives quickly because they've been forgiven often. The one who isn't afraid to pause, to breathe, to be still and remember that their identity is not fragile, because it is held in the hands of a God who does not change. And if you find yourself caught in the swirl of doing and striving later today, come back to this moment. Come back to this stillness. Come back to this truth. You are beloved, not because of what you give, but because of who you are. And who you are is someone deeply seen, deeply cherished, deeply cared for by the Creator of all things. And when that becomes your foundation, your life becomes a quiet miracle of peace in motion, and your light becomes a reflection of the one who lit your soul with love in the first place. So today, be still, not to escape the world, but to be rooted in love before you go into it, and then shine, not to prove yourself, but to reflect the beauty of a life held by grace. Because the world may not understand this way of living, but it will feel it, and your life may be the very reminder someone else needs. The quiet assurance that love is still real, that peace is still possible, that grace is still enough. So as this prayer draws to a close and your morning begins to take shape, carry this final reminder with you like a quiet light in your chest. You are loved, not because of what you do today, but because of who God is today, unchanging, unshakable, unwavering in His mercy. And that mercy is new this morning not because you asked for it perfectly, but because He promised it faithfully. And so you can rise now with peace in your steps, with calm in your breath, with joy that does not depend on outcomes, because the one who made the sun rise has made this day for you to live fully as one who is forgiven, free, and deeply, forever beloved. And no matter what this day holds, let it begin and end with this prayer in your heart. Lord, I receive your grace again. I rest in your love again. And I choose, again, to walk in your light. Wishing you a day filled with energy, overflowing with God's grace, and wrapped in His peace from beginning to end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that each morning we can come together and offer our hearts to the Lord in prayer. May our Blessed Mother Mary intercede for us and ask the Lord to strengthen and guide us throughout this day. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again tomorrow.